Hello, my name is John Kitchingman and I'm very proud to lead the Dassault Systemes team in Northern Europe. Today I'm delighted to be joined by one of our business partners and three of automotive industry suppliers to hear how their digital transformation is improving the performance of their business and their relationship with one of our major clients, Jaguar Land Rover. So welcome to Manish Amlani from Majenta Solutions, Andy Blemmings from Xandor Automotive, Satish Mistry from Cooper Standard, and Peter Jarvis from Contechs. Sincere thanks, gentlemen, for taking time out of your schedules to join me today. I'd like to frame our discussion today by reading an extract from a joint communication from Jaguar Land Rover and Dassault Systemes. And it reads, a few months ago, it would have been hard to foresee positive outcomes from the COVID-19 crisis. In reality, it's accelerated the digitalization program that the Jaguar Land Rover digital engineering capability team is delivering with our strategic partner Dassault Systemes. It's also strengthened our ambition to produce better quality products as we continue on our sustainability journey towards Destination Zero. However, to achieve our ambition and secure a more sustainable future for everyone involved, it's vital that our suppliers align with our digitalization strategy. Interesting reading. And even more so, the launch of the new Land Rover Defender, the L663 program in February 2020, clearly signposts the road ahead. It was the first vehicle program to be developed by JLR and suppliers using the Dassault Systemes 3DEXPERIENCE platform, resulting in the most versatile and mature product JLR have ever brought to market. So at this point, I'd like to turn the discussion over to our guests. We've heard that the challenges of the last few months drove JLR to accelerate its digitalization program, but how have your plans been affected? Andy, if you look at the last few months, how has that affected Xandor's digital transformation plans?
So I think for Xandor Automotive, the last few months have pushed the boundaries of what was previously acceptable. I think there was an element of working from home, for example, previously, but it was less well defined, and I think in some parts of the business it probably was almost frowned upon, I would say. And I think the last few months have proven that actually we can all collaborate and work quite successfully from home, and it's probably going to be something that will stick with us to some extent. I think, you know, there's a lot of people who are keen to get back to the office, of course, but it's shown that with all the digital tools we have around us now, that you can even meet new people and build new relationships through online tools. So I think that's going to be something that sticks with Xandor in the future.
How about you, Satish? How has Cooper Standard responded?
So the whole digital transformation for Cooper Standard, really, we started the journey some years ago. So I think what this phase has done is help test that, make sure it works. And I have to say that being in this phase right now, we have been able to test them systems to its limits in terms of the digital transformation. 3DX is another part of that, about customer intimacy, which we did start in 2017. But in terms of the whole digital transformation, Cooper Standard have been on that journey for some time now, and this has just helped us to test again, prove that we are able to work and encourage home working. So it has been quite positive. I'm very surprised.
Great, thanks, Satish. Peter, how have your plans been affected?
Well, the adoption of 3DEXPERIENCE has been and remains to be a key enabler in our relationship with JLR and other blue chip clients. So in summary, Contechs were one of 4 pilot companies for JLR P6 testing, and then we went on to deliver the cockpit and console design for L663, working on all 3 platform revisions of 3DX. For us, it meant a better way of collaborative working, especially with the tier 1 suppliers that had also migrated to 3DX. The success of 663 has allowed us as a company to be more competitive, more leaner, and above all, more agile and flexible in our day-to-day working, which has greatly enhanced our relationship, we believe, with JLR, both the purchasing teams and the engineering departments as a whole.
That's great, Peter, and it was wonderful to see the recent Contechs video pulling that story together. Great to see indeed. As we've heard, Jaguar Land Rover's commitment to the 3DEXPERIENCE platform is now pretty well documented. Are you ready to align with their strategy, and do you think it's important for other suppliers to do so?
Yes, we are. So from Xandor Automotive's point of view, we've been investigating together with Majenta the prospect to move to 3DEXPERIENCE for about the last 18 months. And interestingly, because of some of the legacy programs we work on and the revision of CATIA CAD software that we were using at that time, we were actually unable to migrate because of that problem. So we're quite excited now at the prospect of some of the new programs we're working on, and the future programs will allow us to migrate to 3DEXPERIENCE. We're still just on the cusp. It sounds like, compared to some of the other panelists here, we're probably just before that point in time. But yeah, we're very excited to get there.
I think it's a pivotal time because, now after their experience with the Defender program, JLR are committing to all future programs being on the platform. So that's wonderful. And for you, Satish, the same thing. Are you ready to align with their strategy? And do you think it's important for other suppliers to do so?
Yeah, most definitely. So our journey on 3DX started on 663. So we were privileged and enough to be sourced on that program. So beautiful vehicle, as we've seen today. But so yeah, it's been a great journey with JLR, and we're hoping to extend that further, especially across the MLA platform as well. It's key. I think anything that improves communication, collaboration with your customer, something you need to get on with. It's a natural step forward in what we do today, or to improve what we do today.
That's great. Thank you, Satish. And for you, Pete, you've been on this journey a little time as well, but and we know you're ready to align to their strategy, but do you think it's important for other suppliers to do so? And how do you think that will unveil itself?
I think we think it's fundamental. It's really an A to B mechanism of ensuring delivery in a very driven, focused manner. I mean, just picking up on some of the key drivers for us adopting 3DEXPERIENCE. I mean, we've got many prestigious global OEMs as clients, and obviously we cherish JLR as a valued client, and many of JLR's first and second tier suppliers as well. For us, 3DEXPERIENCE provided a very dynamic and flexible deployment, not just of the systems and the interconnectivity associated with that, but also our resources, those being paramount to the successful delivery as a combined delivery service. 3DX allows fully collaborative platform working. I can't emphasize that enough, allowing us to have the most experienced engineers where and when we need them, based on a very strategic deployment profile, looking at new modes of visualization encompassed around modular engineering principles.
Okay, I mean, it's just really interesting across the three to hear, the status of the digital transformation programs, and some of them been running for some time. What benefits have you experienced so far, and what further advantages are you expecting? For example, given the current remote working COVID period that we're all living through. Peter, perhaps over to you first, staying with you.
That's a very interesting question with regards to COVID, new ways of working, and how 3DEXPERIENCE has really started to transform not just our mode of operation, but refining our processes. I never thought that we would have the ability to work transparently, back to back from home, and also linking people around the world in different offices, in different locations. but specifically with JLR, we can now offer with the 3DEXPERIENCE more efficient and commercially viable virtual solutions to multi-program platforms and working towards hard milestone and engineering deliverables. However, with other OEMs, we have been working flat out during COVID using the 3DX virtual platform collaborative capabilities. We would not have been able to deliver that level of service prior to the adoption of 3DX at all.
Okay, thank you, Peter. And Satish, coming to you, what benefits have you experienced so far, and what further benefits are you looking for?
Yeah, I think it's been quite a very positive, really. I think it's encouraged home working. Very surprised how fast 3DX works and the home networks. It's only going to encourage staff to be able to be more dynamic, agile. Let us allow teams to work remotely where possible. And the feedback from the team has been very positive with the system. They've seen it to be a lot faster than the current systems. They like the interface; it's a lot cleaner, and it's all only going to help us drive efficiency when working with JLR. Also, one thing to mention, it's improved the design review process as well, so that collaboration between OEM and supplier, being able to review the design in real time. There's obviously added tools with the 3DX in terms of being able to take snippets and creating PowerPoints automatically. So it saves a lot of time. So I think very positive, really.
Great, thank you, Satish. And that's echoed by Jaguar Land Rover themselves. At the start of this year, there were just under 400 users on the platform, and now over 2,000. Most of those working remotely day by day. So but there's the same question to yourself, Andy. Benefits experienced thus far, and what further benefits are you looking to realise?
So from Xandor Automotive's perspective, we're, I would say, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit further behind in the adoption of this because of the legacy CAD and programs we were running with Jaguar Land Rover. But one of the things we would really like to see, and I'm sure we will, is better management of data across our sites, because we've traditionally worked in a more Windows folder-based system, to be honest, and with Excel files and things, and they're open to human error, of course. So I think having that traceability within 3DX, having it based on the cloud, our IT department are certainly very happy with, because they don't have the ongoing maintenance and management of IT hardware. So I think it's that collaboration and data management and sort of management of engineering change, etc., is something that we're quite looking forward to.
That's great to hear. And I'd like to ask some specific questions to each of you now. So we're going to go in reverse order alphabetically and stay with yourself, Andy, to start with. But so Andy, what are your current considerations around collaborating with JLR? You talked there about the data, but what are the key challenges or current considerations for Xandor?
So the components that we design and supply to Jaguar Land Rover, it's exterior components generally in my team. And so we require JLR's environment data quite frequently. We need updates to their environment data to make sure that we're working live and not using sort of out of date information. I think looking at how we work historically, we'll take sort of dead copies of that, we'll work to it, and there's always a lag or a catch-up time involved there. So I think that's one of the key considerations in working with JLR, is to be more connected to their environment and have greater access, and also to have multi-user access, rather than having one portal, if you like, into the customer. We'll have multiple portals. So I think that will massively speed up the work that we do, especially when it's across multiple programs.
Okay, and for Xandor, I understand you're looking at cloud-based deployment of the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. What are the main benefits or the attraction of cloud for Xandor?
So Xandor Automotive are originally, interestingly, we're planning to go for an on-premise solution. And after much consideration and discussing with our IT team, we've decided to take a U-turn on that and go for a cloud-based solution, because I think the expandability, we've in the last 18 months started working with an offshore partner, and management and transfer of data between that offshore partner and ourselves. Plus, Xandor has, due to acquisitions, recently expanded into Europe. We've got divisions there too. So I think the ability to bolt on additional people to seamlessly transfer information between them is something that's much more fluid and easy to do in the cloud. Aside from the advantages of not having to maintain IT hardware as well.
No, I concur with that. I think also commercial accessibility to a far greater population of clients and companies now, where cloud enables that. And what changes do you expect in your product design development process as a result of the digital transformation strategy that you talked about earlier?
I think from a change point of view, I think one thing we've noticed in the last few months and going forward is just the ability to have design reviews in a video forum, probably more than we might have done previously. And using these collaboration tools, being able to share CAD, quickly flip between people, look at CAE results, look at share meeting minutes, annotate, sketch. I think these days, with the addition of video as well, it's virtually as good as being in the same room. So that's something that I think is a massive enabler going forward.
That's a lovely way of describing it, being in the same room with your client. Yeah. Now that Xandor's using the 3DEXPERIENCE platform to collaborate with Jaguar Land Rover and perhaps others, how do you see your relationship and future business transforming? Does it change the dimensions of the relationship with Jaguar Land Rover?
I think in the long term, yes, it will. I mean, Xandor Automotive have a long-standing history with Jaguar Land Rover anyway. We've been a sort of design and develop and manufacturer for JLR for 10 years and have some good relationships there. So I think it's more of an evolution than a revolution in that sense. But also, if that's the direction that JLR are clearly taking, as are many other sort of the larger tier ones, it's something we've got to do. And it's something I think if suppliers don't do it, they'll quite simply be left behind. So it's something that we want to embrace.
Great. Thank you, Andy. Over to you, Satish. And if we start, what were the key drivers behind your decision to adopt 3DEXPERIENCE platform?
Like previously mentioned, it goes back to 663, so Defender really being sourced on that vehicle, knowing that JLR wanted to go in and take on 3DX. It was basically to support them really through that transition to become one of the first suppliers to walk with them on this new platform. So that was the main driver to basically work on 663. And then going forward, it was obviously improving communication and collaboration. So as Andy said, if that's something that JLR wants to do, and we need to get out on board, otherwise we would have been left behind. So it's very key that we did what we did back in 2017.
But that's clear demonstration of commitment. So great to see. And how do you see the adoption of the 3DX platform enhancing that relationship with Jaguar Land Rover operationally?
I think it's going to improve with all the programs they have coming and have currently as well. We know that some of their MLA programs are already migrating on 3DX, which we've also been awarded on. So I think it's just going to improve efficiencies going forward. I can already see engineers working together with engineers in JLR. Design reviews are a lot more streamlined and more efficient, and sharing data is so much better than it was. So yeah, again, it's just going to improve our relationship.
Satish, Finally, how do you feel adopting the 3DEXPERIENCE platform will position Cooper Standard for future projects with Jaguar Land Rover?
I feel any improvement in communication or collaboration with JL is going to put Cooper Standard or any supplier at the forefront of any future program. So I would like to think if you're engaging and you're ready, you're going to be there at the starting line for any future program activity. So I think we're in a very good position.
That's great. And obviously, personally, working closer with Jaguar Land Rover, we talk a lot about creating intellectual capital and creating knowledge and know-how. So the more JLR are doing that with suppliers, they're actually creating, ultimately, some form of corporate memory. And that creates, for me, another bond between the OEM and the supplier. So thanks for that, Satish. So Peter, coming back to yourself, we've been working closely with Contechs, and particularly in the last 12 months. How has the increased adoption of 3DEXPERIENCE platform enhanced your relationship with Jaguar Land Rover so far? How do you envisage that continuing to do so?
Well, 3DX has really enhanced our relationship with Jaguar Land Rover and other clients. Predominantly, we are very cloud centric. We're very much into virtual remote workforces across the globe, and this really links everything we do, from concurrent engineering right down to right first time principles and techniques. So 3DX is not just an add-on; it's integral with our design and manufacturing strategy from now until the longer term future, because we're very much focused on 4.0, and 3DX is integral to that in driving technology forward.
Great. I mean, the whole industry 4.0 and how we create that virtual twin, and that virtual twin working throughout the entire life cycle of that product, and then how that works between OEM and supplier. I get it. Thank you, Peter. And what was your key driver behind adopting 3DEXPERIENCE platform above and beyond purely aligning with Jaguar Land Rover strategy?
The big driver for us to adopt the 3DX platform was to really achieve efficiency savings in the way we work, in the way we do our business. We are very process orientated. We have taken and embraced 3DX and really pushed that into the teams, and align our processes with the tool set itself, so that it becomes harmonious in what we do. It becomes very transparent, and we are able to cascade that across multi-site from where we are in the UK. And we really get some benefits from that, because we're not just looking at PD software, we're looking at manufacturing simulation software, and the ability to look at and integrate time compression techniques within the whole process of design for manufacture is enabled by 3DX.
I think it's great that you combine that modeling and simulation piece, so you can virtualize far more early in that development cycle, reducing costs for yourself and ultimately for your client. What are the new ways of working with Jaguar Land Rover and perhaps other OEMs that you highlighted as other clients, now that you've adopted the 3DEXPERIENCE platform? Are there new ways of working that this enables?
There are significant new ways of working. I touched on some earlier, but the fact that remote working is something I never thought I would be enthused about. But the technology that 3DX provides means that we are able to not just get through COVID, but also learn from the experience and realize that offers a massive opportunity for us going forward. Now, we're looking at different hot desk modes, different levels of transporting data, not just in real time, but looking at how we get more efficient with using data and how we release data, and pulling down data from the end client through then to the first and second tier suppliers as well.
Thank you, Peter. I love the passion, I love the insight and the vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been fascinating to hear the experiences and expectations from a supplier perspective. Manish, turning to you now. I'm keen to hear how the team at Majenta Solutions are involved in driving these initiatives across what is a wide supplier base for Jaguar Land Rover. It's a wide range of customers. So why is it so important that suppliers start on this journey, and why now, Manish?
Thank you, John. Yeah, good question, I think. So if I start first with the first question, why is it important that suppliers start on this journey? I think there's just so many reasons why companies in the Jaguar Land Rover supply chain and generally in the automotive supply chain should start this journey. You know, as we know in this industry over the last so many years, it's been subject to disruption, you know, from numerous angles, and maybe we can cover that in a minute. But I think COVID has just probably accelerated the need for these organizations in the supply chain to change, really. I know, having spoken to the customers on this call, mutual customers ours, John, Contechs, Xandor, and Cooper Standard, you know, they've all got very different reasons for doing this. But generally, it's because customers, we know, end users of cars and vehicles, are demanding very, very different experiences, and their need for, you know, intelligent, connected, environmentally friendly vehicles, and possibly autonomous in the future, is challenging absolutely everybody in the industry. So I think there's a lot of reasons to adopt these changes. You know, long established OEMs like Jaguar Land Rover under a huge amount of pressure to meet these ever-changing and ever-increasing demands in an increasingly competitive landscape, and that also includes a lot of startup organizations as well. So, you know, Jaguar Land Rover really do need to, you know, make best use of the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, and they absolutely need the supply chain to come on that journey. You know, we know as Majenta, having been so close to Jaguar Land Rover over the last 20 odd years, we know that typically the supply chain contributes to over 50% of a vehicle's design and engineering effort. So it's so essential that the supply chain effectively embarks on this journey. You know, digital transformation shouldn't be just left to the OEM alone, really. So I think that's important. I think, you know, there's other drivers I haven't even mentioned, and we probably don't have time for on this call, like globalization, Brexit, you know, legislative changes on emissions and stuff like that. So, you know, building up skills within your businesses, you know, and building a workforce of the future, I think is quite an important aspect of all of this. So the why now for me is really, really important. I think, you know, we know that with Jaguar Land Rover adopting the platform, 3DEXPERIENCE platform, you know, there's a request to the supply chain to you know, embrace those changes too. But I don't think, you know, Jaguar Land Rover's strategy for Destination Zero is the only reason suppliers should do that. They should do it because of the merit that it will provide and the benefits it will provide to their own business as well. You know, I was reading a recent Gartner research report, and it was quite a long report, so I certainly won't go into it now, but it was all about strategies for leading in a disruptive crisis like now, such as COVID. And it broke it down into 4 phases. And the first couple of phases were all pretty much as we expected: react, respond. Second one was redirect to new realities. It was a third one that I found the most interesting. So, and I will forward, you know, to anybody that's interested, a link to this article or this report. But the third one actually was called Rebound to the Future, which I absolutely love. You know, apart from the fact it sounded like a movie from the 1980s. You know, Rebound to the Future for me really does say quite a lot, because, you know, as a organization in the supply chain, we know that a recovery will come post-COVID. We know that the economy will pick up. We know consumer demand will return. We know that government will probably apply stimulus to consumer markets and also to manufacturers to help them through the next few years ahead. So we know that demand's going to return. So in terms of why now, I think, you know, the research report talked about a paradox, which is, you know, automotive supply chain companies need to be ready for the return of that demand. But really the question is, should they focus on new products, better products now, or should they wait for the return of that demand before they invest in making future better products? And from my perspective, you know, leading organizations, the ones that are going to get ahead, as the ones on this call now, are going to be the ones that cut through that paradox by taking action now. You know, so my advice is, you know, in terms of why now, is do it now, make use of this time. In terms of the benefits, John, you know, Satish, Andy, and Pete have all mentioned a number of benefits already. So if I repeat some of the ones I've written down whilst they were talking for some of my own, I think better communication, better integration of CAD data, BOM management integration, reduce revision errors, revision control, improve tracking, document handling, version control, flexible workflows, a good, much more improved, faster oversight of approvals. The 3D Experience platform, I think, John, is really, really quite vast. And I think more and more customers we engage with, the more we see that actually what they're looking to do is enable virtual remote workforces. We are in a global landscape. You can call on skills in the engineering workplace from around the world. So to be able to collaborate globally in a seamless way is essential. And having not to wait for information that's, non-value type activity, and thinking about right first time in terms of quality and output, improving governance and project management. And ultimately, we're all here to improve profitability of our businesses and really ultimately develop and design better products for the consumers of the future and deliver that customer experience that we talk so much about in this industry.
So why is it important for Majenta to be part of this? And how can we help suppliers now?
In terms of how can we help and why now, I think it's really, really important to recognize that Majenta are fully engaged with the Jaguar Land Rover supply chain. We're fully engaged with Dassault. We're fully engaged with the Jaguar Land Rover GSI team. So we're really, really placed well with the right people, either working physically on site or remotely during COVID times, to be able to support suppliers on their journey. We've developed a very specific supplier transformation program at Majenta. We call it STEP, which is effectively about supplier transformation in the Jaguar Land Rover supply chain. It's a framework that's effectively based on delivery of a number of structured workshops. And the idea of those workshops is really to assist suppliers to build a business case around the areas that 3D Experience platform can help their business. It's a long-term program. It really does require an engagement and a commitment from all levels of each of the businesses, not just at Majenta and Dassault, but also senior executives within the supplier company and organization. Because changes of these types that deliver great value do need organizational change and commitment from the top. The outcome of this type of engagement, I think, for suppliers is very valuable. It'll be a well thought out roadmap, which is designed to effectively enable the changes the suppliers need to make to help them meet their business objectives and meet their longer term ambitions.
That's great, Manish, and my thanks also on behalf of Dassault Systems, seeing the ramping up and the infrastructure and the team and the investment you've put behind this. Clearly, you see this as a long-term strategy and you're ready to go now, which is wonderful.
Great, thank you, John.
Thank you, Manish. And thanks to all of you for sharing such valuable insights, and congratulations as you've embarked on your own digital transformation journeys. Clearly, we know JLR is committed to migrating their vehicle programs to the 3D Experience platform by the end of 2020. It's also clear that suppliers who support JLR's digital strategy will directly contribute to their goal of improving strategic operating efficiencies. And a thriving OEM, we all know it, means a more business for ultimately the supplier network. So I'd like to close this discussion by making an offer to every supplier, large or small, and however complex or simple your relationship and nature of work is with JLR. Our team, Majenta's team and the Dassault Systems team, are ready to deliver a tailored walkthrough of the digital engineering capability created for Jaguar Land Rover. And whether we do it in a virtual way because of COVID or in person once we're able to, through morning and afternoon sessions, we can create a tailored roadmap to you, creating benefits, realization enabled by the 3D Experience platform. So please reach out. I know the Majenta team are already reaching out to many of you. Thanks again to Satish, Peter, Andy, and Manish for today, and I wish you well. Thank you very much.